Good morning and welcome to the very last day of haying 2022. It's Tuesday, July 19th, 2022. We've been haying for 21 days and this morning we're going to wrap things up. It's early, it's about 4:40 in the morning, the sun's getting ready to come up behind me, and it's a perfect time to finish up baling. We've been looking at days that are right around 100 degrees. Air conditioner is not the best in the baling tractor, so it's a good time to get out and get this whole thing wrapped up. We've got a few acres left to hay, but I can tell you by the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly, and I'm gonna know exactly what it costs to put up a bale of hay here on our ranch in Northeast Wyoming. We're gonna be looking at expenses. We're gonna be looking at the price of fuel, repairs, snacks, all that kind of good stuff, as well as what it would cost to actually buy hay to bring into the ranch. We're gonna compare the two and basically see not only how much it costs to put up a bale of hay on the ranch, but how much we save by having hay to put up. We're gonna do that with the help of a spreadsheet that was actually sent to me by a subscriber that will help us basically figure out what exactly everything cost and compare all that. But before we get that far, we do have to finish up with haying and get the equipment put away for the year. We've got a few windrows out here left, and I know it's really dark. It's like I said, 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning, and we'll get this done, and then we'll get into some numbers for you guys, and hopefully, well, I think I'm going to be shocked by the amount of money that the ranch is saving by being able to put up our own hay. I'm also going to, I think what's really going to shock me is the price that people are charging for hay and how much hay is costing on the market right now compared to what you can put up hay for. I think that's going to be a big shock as well. So it is super early, like I said. We're out here putting up this hay because it is really hot during the day. Not only do we have issues with the tractor not overheating, but me overheating inside the tractor. This is actually a pretty good time for us to put up hay because the humidity is just a little bit higher. We want to put up hay at a pretty low moisture level, but when it's 100 degrees outside, this hay dries up really fast. We want to be down below about 16% moisture in our bales. And if we're baling during the day, we're down to about 14% or 14.5. So this gives us a little bit of a chance to put up a little bit more wet hay, not wet, but a little bit more moisture in that hay so that it holds together a little bit better. So baling at night is not really all that bad of a deal. We see a lot of people doing it. I'm a little bit late this morning in getting this done, but that's okay. We'll get it wrapped up and then we'll get to the numbers. The other fun thing we get to do once we get done with haying is cleaning tractors and cleaning up all of our equipment. And we actually have some really cool new tools to help us get that done this year. That'll be coming up in future videos. And remember that beef jerky is still on sale on our website, OurWyomingLife.com. You can jump on there, 10% off all beef jerky apparel and drinkware in order to celebrate haying 2022. Haying out here at night, you can see all the dust flying around in here. Haying out here at night, a little bit trickier because obviously we have our lights, we have to be able to see our windrows. A little bit tricky, but I'm going to try to get the best done that I can and hopefully make us a few bales. We don't have a whole lot left, just a few acres that I wanted to make sure that I was able to bring you guys along with me as we finish all this up.
Part of me thought you would have found so done with you. And I thought you'd change, but you go back to the same old ways. Yeah, I'm so done with you.
A big old rock in our windrow, not a good idea. We definitely don't want to pick that up. That'll tear up our baler, and well, it could tear up our baler, and that's part of the problems that we've had this year is with maintenance and parts and repairs. That's going to drive up our cost per bale this year, but we're going to get there in just a second. I'm really excited to see how this whole thing's going to end up, but just a little bit left to finish. The sun's coming up behind me, and it should make for a really nice ending to hay 2022. No sooner did I mention rock, and we got a rock stuck in the baler, which is no fun at night because you can't see a dang thing. Luckily, the camera can. Not so much fun under here. And there's our culprit. Found it right there. Back up and running. Rocks are cleared. I think we are on our last bale of 2022. I don't think we're going to get much more out of this. There's a few windrows left, but not many, so we may end up making a baby bale, but that's okay. Just a little bale. And this field that we're haying right now is actually only a 13-acre auxiliary field, basically. We're trying to get a few extra bales, like I've said in the past. We're basically haying until we get enough. I know that we've hayed over 600 acres. I'm not sure what the final count is yet. We'll get there today, actually, and I'll be able to let you know exactly how many acres we've hayed, how many bales we've got, what those bales are worth. This little field, we're not going to get a whole lot of bales off of it, but I think it's going to help out in the long run. Every bale is worth its weight in gold right now around here. And I think because we don't normally hay this field, probably why we're getting a few rocks out of here. A little bit extra work for a few extra bales. Oh, we're almost there. Battling our way down to the very last bale. Working that bale up to 60 inches. And there it is. The very last bale of 2022. A long road, 21 days of haying. Wrap things up. Y'all ready for this? There she goes. Turning off the baling computer, and off goes the tractor. Whew, that was a long 21 days. So, yeah, we're done. 2022 haying is now in the books. Well, the books are yet to be done because really what we have to do is sit down and do some accounting and figure out exactly how many bales we have and how much those bales cost us. So to do that, we're going to run up to the office really quick, punch some numbers in, and then we'll come back down to the shop and we're going to take a look and see what those numbers actually mean. This is my super messy desk. Actually, it's not bad today. Remember, beef jerky's on sale still. Just until midnight tonight, Tuesday the 19th. All right. So here's my Excel spreadsheet. And all we have to do is put in our final numbers for that field, which was an extra 12 bales actually, is what we got. So I'm going to print all this out and we'll take a look and see what it looks like. There we go. Okay guys, here we go. So the numbers have been crunched and we're going to take a look at how these all came together. Special thanks again to Gary for giving us the start on our Excel spreadsheet. Of course his spreadsheets are much more pretty than mine are. But I did have to add on to them, change them just a little bit. But thank you Gary very much for getting us a good start. By the way, in the background, if you hear all the baby birds chirping, not much I can do about that, but that's okay. We'll call it ambiance of the ranch. All right, here we go. So, as far as hay totals go, we're going to talk about our hay yield on the ranch for this year. Total acres harvested, 621.7 acres harvested on the ranch. That's a lot. That's more than we've ever cut on the ranch before, and we really needed to because our main goal was to get the bales that we needed to get us through the winter. Coffee mug here, by the way, available on the website, still on sale until midnight. This is from our chipped and dented collection, which then becomes mine. It has a big old chip taken out of it, but this is our Blonde Cow coffee mug. I need some coffee. Okay, so the hay that we needed to harvest to get us through winter, we have 180 days of winter here, and really hard to judge this year because obviously we reduced the size of the herd, which made a big difference, but we're also going to be building up the herd hopefully this fall as well if we can afford to buy some steers and possibly even some bred heifers or something like that. So I kind of had to guess, really, is what I was looking at. So I know our bales weigh about 1,400 pounds a piece, and I figured that we could probably get away with 2 bales per day, one to feed to the cows that we have existing now, and then of course we have the feed lot and everything else that we have going on. So that extra bale to be able to basically play like a utility bale and be able to get it where we needed it. So I figured out that we needed 2 bales per day, so that put us at 360 bales to get us through the winter. Also, because we have a reduced herd size, we're going to be able to do a lot more winter grazing, I think, this year, and hopefully keep the animals out in pasture longer before we have to bring them home and start feeding them, which means we can keep them in summer pasture longer as long as we can figure out water. That's going to be our big thing, and keeping water from freezing while they're down there. That's going to be a trick, but that's a video for another day. So our total bales harvested, I was aiming for 360. We ended up with 371 bales harvested, have an average weight of 1,400 pounds a bale. That gives us 921 pounds per acre, which is a little bit less than what my estimate was, but once again, we can't pick up every single blade of grass, and now that gives me a really good idea when I do my estimates at what percentage below that I need to adjust for. That gives us a total of 251.3 tons of hay harvested. So the big question is, how much would that hay have cost the ranch if we had to go and buy it? And last year we bought hay. We ended up getting it out of Missouri. We paid about $5,000 a load to get it up here. That worked out to about $200 a ton. As I'm taking a look at stuff now, I'm thinking with the fuel cost rising and everything else, and some stuff that's available now to get into our area, we're looking at right around $250 per ton delivered to the ranch. So that puts a cost per bale of $175, and a total cost, if we were going to buy all the hay that we put up this year on the ranch, $64,925. That's a lot of money, and I'm glad that we don't have to spend it. But we did have to spend some money to make this hay. And I think this is the part where a lot of ranchers and farmers and stuff get themselves in trouble, is because, you know, it's great to look at, okay, we put up $62,000 worth of hay, or almost $65,000 worth of hay. And that's great to look at and say, hey, that's really awesome. And then we can do the same thing when we take calves to auction and we get our auction check, our check from the auction, and we made $100,000, we sold calves this year. Being able to look at expenses, I think, is where a lot of trouble can happen, because you've got to keep track of expenses to know where you're sitting. And this year, for the very first time ever, during haying, we kept track of every single expense that came into the ranch. It wasn't that much fun to do, because obviously you see money flying out the window. 21 days is a pretty short time frame to spend a whole lot of money. And to tell you the truth, we didn't have all that money sitting waiting to be spent. And some of this stuff we still owe, and we're going to be paying off over the next few months. So the big cost for this year was actually parts and repair. That was a big deal, because a lot of this equipment has been sitting for 3 years. Last time we hayed was in 2019. We got hailed out that year, and this equipment's just kind of been sitting. So we had to get stuff back up and running. We had to get sharp teeth for the mower. We had to do a lot of repairs on the baler this year. And so the maintenance, not horrible, because that's just yearly stuff we have to do anyway, but the parts and repairs is what really got us. The other thing that we do take a look at is prorating stuff out, so that we know that what percentage of the time we're using what tractor for what purpose. So obviously the mower, the rake, and the baler, those are used exclusively for hay. So pretty much anything we spend on those, we put right into our haying budget. The 4055, which is our farm tractor that we used for baling, we just used it this morning. That one, we didn't use it for anything else this year except for haying. And so we know that every single dime that we spend on that tractor is going to go into our haying budget. The 6420, a little bit different deal, because we use that tractor to feed along with the 6410. The 6420 we use a majority of the time for feeding, so we actually split the difference. We said 50% of the time we're using that for haying, which is about right hour-wise, and 50% of the time we're using that for feeding or some other purposes. The 6410, kind of the same, but we did a 75-25 split because we don't use that tractor as much. We use a lot more during haying, and we take a look at the hours and make sure that we're pretty much dead on with those numbers. Now, this basically gets us a haying budget. Honestly, the tractors are used on the ranch all year long, so there's really no difference whether or not it comes out of the haying budget or the feeding budget, because there really is no such thing. It's all just the ranch budget. So maintenance-wise, you got to see us doing all the filters, all the greasing, all that kind of stuff. So we were able to say, you know, we had a total maintenance Maintenance was actually $800 once we figure out those percentages. The total was $1,325 once we take off that 50%, and for the tire that we had to replace, $800 was our adjusted total for maintenance. So parts and repair, that was our big expense this year. In total was $5,406.25. That included any repairs we had to do to the 6410, which wasn't much. We actually only really had to pay for a couple little tiny things. The 6420, we had the price of our tire and a couple little things, maybe like what did we have on that thing? There was $25 that I kind of put in there as miscellaneous, but I'm trying to think of what I could use for an example. Door struts, let's just say that. I don't know, whatever else I rolled into there. With the adjusted total, then that comes down to $312.50. The 4055, we did end up replacing the steering pump, power steering pump in that tractor, and because that tractor was only used during haying, that entire amount of money went towards into the haying budget. So $2,500 was what that ended up running us. Mower parts and repair, about $500. Rake, we had another $25 into the rake. That's probably just some odds and ends. I think we had to plug a couple tires and do a couple things like that. And then the baler was our big one this year. Not only did we have that shaft that broke early in haying that we had to get fixed, I also had this thing. This is a slip clutch. This I had to replace. This is the old one that burned up. I had to replace it on the baler as well, so that was another $1,000. Luckily, I was able to do that myself. The shaft, we ended up having to have John Deere come out and do, so a little bit over $2,000 on the baler. So total expenses, $5,406.25 right there. We also have miscellaneous expense of $250, bale wrap about $400. Luckily, we did have some left over from previous years of haying that we managed to buy a long time ago before it went way up. Big cost this year, of course, is fuel. With haying 621.7 acres, and we figure out basically how many acres we can mow per hour, or how many acres we can rake per hour, or how many acres we can bale per hour, and we put those into our spreadsheet. We figure out then obviously how many gallons per hour we used, and we figured that out this year and rounded it up actually just to make sure that we got everything we needed to get idle time and all that kind of stuff. So the 6410, which did a majority of the mowing, uses about 4 gallons per hour, while raking we're using about 3, and baling was 5 gallons per hour. So we ended up buying fuel in bulk, and we paid for our first tank of fuel, we paid a little bit over $5. Our last tank that we got, our second tank, was a little under, so our average rate was actually $5 per gallon for diesel, and that puts our total fuel cost at $4,663. We round that up a little bit. So total expenses to put up a total of, what we say it was, $64,925 worth of hay. Our total expenses were $11,519. That then, on our next sheet, thank you, Gary, gives us a net savings for the ranch of $53,406. That's a lot of money to save the ranch just by putting on our own hay. Now, you may notice that we didn't include any labor cost in this, mostly because I don't use the ranch to really pay myself. The ranch kind of takes care of itself. We hope that it does, that it breaks even is kind of a good point. YouTube pays my salary basically at this point, so that's great, and thank you very much for doing that. Obviously website sales, all that kind of stuff rolls in as well. So we don't have any labor costs, including Jeff, who is here volunteering and helping us out on the ranch. No labor costs there, but I did get interested in looking at the price of hay if we purchased it. So that's $65,000, let's just call it what it is, $65,000 worth of hay. Why is it worth so much? So I started looking at some of the numbers. And I said to myself, why does hay that we purchase cost so much more than hay that we put up on the ranch? By the way, cost per bale, if we purchase it, $175 a bale. Our cost on the ranch, $31.05 per bale. So what's the difference? Well, the only place that I can really see where the difference is going to come in, because obviously maintenance and fuel and all that kind of stuff is going to be pretty much the same. The only place that I can see the difference is what you're paying yourself to put up hay. So I said, well, let's see how much we could pay ourselves to put up our hay to get to that $64,000 or $65,000 mark. By doing the math and actually just plugging it into our handy little spreadsheet, we can pay ourselves over $200 per hour and still save the ranch just a little bit. That's insane. That's crazy. $200 an hour. Don't tell Jeff that, by the way. He'll be waiting for a paycheck, which I can't pay. So that's it for haying 2022. We have the hay we need to get us through winter, hopefully. If winter turns really, really horrible, we may be in a bit of a hurting situation. We may end up buying hay anyway. There's really no way to tell what's going to happen in the future, but I know for now, today, we have done everything we can do to set the ranch up for success for the next year. $53,000, well, $53,406 saved the ranch in 21 days. Guys, that's incredible. And it all comes down to a little bit of rain, a little bit of sunshine, and some heat, which makes the world go around. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with us once again. I'm glad haying's over with. I got to tell you, I'm super happy that we can be done. And I'm very excited to have our very last bale made here on the ranch. And I'm also excited that I was able to bring you along with me, because that's what it's all about, showing people where their food comes from and the families behind it. And thank you for joining us as we explore the ranch life and escape the ordinary right here on Our Wyoming Life.